All right, so we got a video we're going to review today. Now, he's talking about D12, Eminem, and Proof, and how Proof started to warn people that, they pray and do demonic rituals over the master tapes. If you look up, there's a Rothschild guy named John Todd back from the 70s or 80s. He done interviews, audio interviews, and video interviews, giving these speeches after he turned his life over to Christ. But he talked about how he worked in the music industry because his family owned and ran everything. Talked about the Illuminati, and I know this sounds crazy, but he said back in the 70s and 80s that there's a ritual room on a certain floor of certain buildings at certain corporations within the music industry where they bring the reel to reel, because back then it was reel to reel. They bring the master tapes into the room where they have candles, they do these chants, and they put these incantations, and they put demons onto the music itself. In order for those that listen to that music, then those demons would be put onto you in a sense. Many people have talked about conjuring demons, or how you can conjure demons for different reasons. You can put a demon onto a person, but people that are spiritually protected by Christ, or the light of Christ, that stuff has no weight or no power. All right, now I'm gonna let him continue on. I'll butt in very rarely, but I have some other stuff I got to say about Proof when he gets to Proof.
But around the time when everybody got to knowing about Detroit's hip hop scene, um, that's when I was really, or when it was really forming anyway, the scene that brought you Eminem and D12 and Jay Dilla. I was in that scene. I knew all of those people. Jay Dilla shook my hand and told me my music was fresh. That's something that happened. Um, and and so it was through the murmurings that was going on in that community that I began to find out about the darkness, and it was really through the confession of a uh, late rapper named Proof, who I think risked his life to tell his comrades in the Detroit hip hop community.
All right, so just real quick. So I had the luxury of meeting Proof twice, and before Proof died, he was trying to sign me. He sent one of his homies, I believe his name was Jamal. Now, I met this Jamal person at a D12 show. When D12 had their album release show, it was at St. Andrews downtown. Me and my dog Lefty was the first in line. We got down there like 8 hours early, just chilling in the parking lot. Proof came in through the front. We met him. He signed our CDs. I didn't want to ask him to sign them. He signed my homie Lefties, and he's like, yo, let me sign that. When he signs it, then later on, another time I'm down at St. Andrew just on a weekend, and I ran into him, and he remembered me, and he sat, chopped it up with me, and I'm like, damn, you remember me? He goes, yeah, bro. And he reiterated the whole D12 show, us being the first ones in line, signing our CDs and all that. So a couple months before he died, I had somebody run into him randomly at a bar, and he was like, yo, where you been? I've been trying to get at you, man. Proof started his own label. He wants to sign you guys, talking about like me and my homies. He's like, bro, I want to set up a meeting for you. So he was kind of doing like A&R-ish. And I knew he wasn't bullshitting, because at the D12 show, he was the one passing out the goodie bags. Like the first 100 people got D12 goodie bags. So I'm like, damn, you was at the show, like you was on stage, backstage. So I knew he wasn't bullshitting. Couple months later, Proof ends up getting killed. My homie Lefty goes to his visual. I didn't go. I was like not trying to go nowhere at that time. I was in a bad way. I was addicted to pills. I was all messed up, bro. Even when homie was trying to talk to me about signing, I'm like sitting there like trying to get my mind right, trying to wrap my head around stuff I got going on in my life. If you look in the Eminem video, Proof is murdered and quote unquote sacrificed for M's fame. If you look back, like allegedly, like if you look back at that time, and then Proof gets shot and murdered in the same way that they depicted it in the video, which is so freaking eerie, like so many artists. And a lot of people say it's rituals being done. It has to be foretold, foreseen before it's done for karmic retribution or whatever the case is. I don't know, but let's get into the rest of this. I just wanted to tell my little story on, because I grew up in the Detroit scene. I'm still in the music scene. I still work with people. I still know people that are in the industry or in the underground industry or in the Detroit scene.
These record labels take you to a ritual to pray over your master tape. And it was not long after he spread that information, but um, He also was producing a movie called The Devil Made Me Do It. Not long after that, he was shot and killed on 8 Mile Road, um, in a pool hall, in a pool bar, in a bar where they was playing pool, supposedly over a pool game. But I believe that it was part of a demonic hit, um, and he was not covered. He wasn't covered in the blood. He was not under the protection that you have to be under if you're going to deal in spiritual warfare. I don't even believe that he knew that that's exactly what he was dealing in. But what he revealed, it was interesting because this was part of, I think, bringing me to where I am today. He revealed that they were all invited to a meeting in a big skyscraper somewhere in California. I don't remember certain details. You have to please forgive me. This is like 30 years ago now. They were invited to a meeting inside of one of the record label skyscrapers out there in California. And I say that it must have been that because it was a building with at least 14 floors. And like many of the old buildings in many downtown areas by design, by Freemasonic design, there is no 13 on the keypad. We're all told that it's because of whatever that long word is that means phobia of the number 13. We're all told that it's because of that some big, grown, mature contractor actually or elevator manufacturer actually decided to leave a number off of the keypad. We all have been indoctrinated to believe that. And I believe up until I was told this story. That's that they got on the elevator, the whole group got on the elevator, and the management is with them, whoever called the meeting. So as they're going up in floors, Proof said when they got past floor number 12, the manager stuck a key in the keypad and turned it, and the elevator stopped in between floors 12 and 14. And he said there's a floor there. And I've come to the understanding that's the floor. The devil is the prince of this world, the God of this age. That's the floor where the devil does his business. It's a floor dedicated to that business. And I don't think that it's about fear of the number 13, that it's not on the keypad. It's about access. And everybody's not supposed to have access to that or an understanding of that. And I think it's also part of the allure, goes along with being a part of something secret or special or set apart, which is what some people desire unfortunately, when they go looking for something and they find the devil. They're not looking necessarily for the devil, but they're looking for that exclusivity. What a way to make it exclusive. We have our own floor dedicated to our Luciferian business. This is what we were told. He says they go up to the 13th floor. Well, the elevator stops in between 12 and 14. They get off on this 13th floor. He said it's a long corridor. It's two conference room doors at the end of the corridor. And as they approach the conference room doors, the manager talking fast to him, trying to get him ready for what's happening. And as the doors open, he said there was a conference room table with his group's master tape sitting in the center of a drawn pentagram on the table with a candle on each point. There was a man already in the room, dressed in some sort of priestly type of attire. So the manager starts talking quick, or the manager type guy. I don't want to put this on their manager. I don't remember who exactly he was in their business relationship, but in my mind, I keep putting it as someone in management. And so he explains to the guys in the group. He says, because these all guys, from humble beginnings, and so he says to them, he says, you guys, this is Reverend, or this is Minister so-and-so, and he has prayed over this artist master tape and this artist master tape and such artist master tape. And every time he does it, people's album sales increase by 85%. And so we want to give you guys a chance to have the benefit of his blessing as well. But we want everybody to kind of participate in this, as he wants to pray over the master tape with you, and he's going to ask for spirits to enter into the master tape. And for every slave that's made off the master tape that a person buys and listens to, we ask that spirit would help to attach the listener to your music.
That's what John Todd said. But look up John Todd. Look up the Rothschilds. Look up John Todd. There's video, and then there's a lot of audio recording of John Todd saying in the 70s and the 80s the exact same thing.
Now, Proof, whom I had conversations with about these high-minded, esoteric, black metaphysical things on the phone many times before, he had some understanding or some inclination that this wasn't right. Proof left. He left out the meeting. He fussed a little bit, left out the conference room door, got back on the elevator, rolled the elevator back down, called back home here and said that he was leaving. He was done with it. He was leaving the group. He was coming back home. It was over. He didn't do that though. But they recorded one song that night, and it's the only song that he's not on the D12 Devil's Night album, which which is what they came out with.
And think about that. To make an album and call it Devil's Night.
That's the song that they recorded that night. Immediately after this ritual, they recorded a song. And by him being the leader of the group, it was odd that there was a song that he wasn't on. He was the actual leader of the group. Eminem was who everybody knew. Okay, so fast forward. Okay, so interestingly enough, after he told me that story, I later, found out about John Todd and how John Todd alleged that he worked for major labels back in the 70s and that was his job. His job was to be the priest guy.
I haven't seen this yet. I haven't watched this interview yet.
Inside the room. And of course, there are detractors and folks who don't give any credibility to his story, but there are a lot of folks who do, and I think those are folks who have had some experience.
I don't know. Let me know in the comments, man. Tell me what you guys think about that. Like I said, this is alleged. I don't know this to be fact, but it is kind of messed up that out of all the D12 members, Proof was the only one to die. And a lot of people have said that was a ritual that took place. A big part of M's continuous success and trajectory. I don't know how true it is. Like I said, I didn't live it. I know the things that I've lived through. I know the things that I've seen. I know the things that I've experienced. Like I have a lot of things foreseen in my dreams. A lot of times things come in my dreams, but I've seen a lot of stuff. Like I've had sleep paralysis. I've woke up with dark figures in the room, and you wake up and you feel this sense of dread and fear and terror before you see anything. So it's a thing that you sense it. I've stayed in a hotel before to where got this hotel room one time for a whole week. Every day it felt like somebody was watching us. The girl I was with at the time, she's telling me the same thing. I'd wake up out of a dead sleep, feel like somebody's watching me, and look up and there'd be something like a dark figure standing in the corner. Similar to going through things here years later, just separate events, separate places. Then being in the bathroom at the hotel and turn around and there's a dark figure standing there looking at me. And I'm like, what the heck is that? So then I start to realize, bro, like I think this place is haunted, or somebody might have killed themselves in this place. Go down to reception. Yo, man, I'm having issues in that room. And I remember they gave us a discount on this room. And then I was like, I'm starting to wonder why. And then you go down to see the hotel manager and they're like, oh yeah, unfortunately that was room somebody killed themselves in a while back. Why would you put me in there? Move me now. Put me in another room. Why, out of all the rooms you got, and this place had a lot of rooms vacant. It wasn't like they was booked and like packed and that was the only room they had available. There was several rooms across the hall that was empty and rooms next to me. Why would you put us in this room? So I say all that to say I've experienced things, experiencing the spiritual realm or the afterlife in somewhat of a sense. So just let me know in your comments what you believe is to be true, false, whatever. I don't know, man. Like I said, it's hard to articulate some of this sometimes. It's your boy D, and I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'm out.